Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, have a seat.
Sir, please state your name and spell it for the record.
Matthew Albenze. It's Mathew Albenze.
And Mr. Albenze, what neighborhood do you live in?
Satilla Shores.
How long have you lived in Satilla Shores?
Since July '89. 32 years, 33 years. 32 years. 31 years.
All right. And what's the specific address that you live at?
309 Jones Road.
What do you do for a living?
Calibration technician.
And what are the normal hours that you work? Like, when do you leave to go to work? And when do you leave to go to work? And when do you come home?
Leave around 5:30, 5:40 in the morning. Get home around 4:30, 4:45 in the afternoon.
Right. So prior to February of 2020,
Is that from your mic?
I don't know. It appears it might be. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
That may be it. You just push that maybe just a little bit away from you. Okay, let's try.
Let's try that.
Let's fix it. Okay.
Thank you, Judge. So prior to February of 2020, did you know Mr. William Roddy Bryan?
We'd met before. Yeah.
All right. How many times had you met before?
Just casual passing at a hardware store or maybe up at Zachary's.
How would you describe your relationship with him?
Just an acquaintance.
Had you ever been to his home in Satilla Shores?
No.
Had he ever been to your house in Satilla Shores?
No.
Did you even know where he lived?
Had an idea.
With regard to Greg McMichael, did you know Mr. Greg McMichael prior to February of 2020?
Yes.
How did you know him?
Just neighbors.
Had he ever been over to your house?
No.
Did you ever been over to his house for like dinner or anything?
No.
And Travis McMichael, did you know him?
Yes.
And how did you know Travis McMichael?
Same type of relationship. Just neighbors. Be talking in the driveway. I think most of the time we ever spoke with each other in the driveway, just friendly conversation about, trucks and boats and fishing and stuff like that.
All right. And back in February of 2020, you knew where the McMichaels lived.
Yes.
Now, with regard to Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, did you know him?
No.
Had you ever seen him in the neighborhood before?
No.
Had you ever seen him, period, before?
No.
Now, in relationship to your house, where is the open unsecured construction site at 220 Satilla Drive?
It's at the end of the street I live on.
And how long has that location been under construction?
2.5 years maybe at that point. I'm not sure.
Okay, so at that point, 2.5 years. What was there before it became a construction site?
It's the vacant lot.
So I'm going to show you what I've marked as state's exhibits 284 and 285. Take a look at 284 and 285 and see if you're able to recognize what's depicted in those photographs.
Yep.
Are they fair and accurate?
Yeah.
At this time, the state would tender into evidence 284 and 285.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
They're admitted.
So, Mr. Albenze, you'll be able to see it here on your screen. So I'm looking at 284. What is the jury looking at here?
That's Mr. English's house, just above the garbage cans there.
Right here?
Yeah, and that and to the right.
all of this
Right.
being English's property.
Yes.
All right. And so where are we kind of standing looking down the street?
You'd be about at the end of my driveway, I think, approximately.
All right. And what road is this road, right?
Jones Road.
Now, whose house is this?
Kenny Wade.
What, do you know what Mr. Wade does?
No, I think he's retired.
So then looking at 285, is this just a further close-up shot?
Yes.
Great. It's just our court reporter needs to take down everything we're saying. Thanks. Now, do you know Larry English personally?
We've met, yeah. I introduced myself. It's my mailbox. There's the white mailbox here. So I walk down there every afternoon and check my mail.
So that's your mailbox?
Yeah.
Okay. So how many times do you think you've met or talked with Larry English prior to February 23rd of 2020?
Half a dozen, 10 times, maybe a dozen, I'm not sure.
He ever come to your house? You ever go to his house?
No, I talked to him either at the mailbox or, spoke to him in his backyard. He had an excavator putting some concrete on the riverbank, just like that, yeah.
All right. And had you ever seen various people at his open unsecured construction site?
Maybe some contractors every now and then.
Any looky-loos, people just stopping by to look at the property? No, you didn't see that.
No, I did not see that.
Okay. And from about October of 2019 through February of 2020, what condition was the open unsecured construction site? Was it like fully open that you could walk in?
Yeah, no garage doors. I don't think the front door was on it.
Were there any no trespassing signs up?
I don't know.
Now, at some point in time when you talked with Larry English, did he show you a video? Did he show you a video of someone who had come onto his property at night?
Yes.
And what was that person doing?
I was looking around, walking around on his dock.
The dock video.
Yes.
Did he show you any other videos other than the dock video?
No.
Do you remember what day it was that he showed this video to you? No?
Maybe October, November time frame of 19.
And at any point in time, did Larry English talk to you about items that had been stolen off of his boat, like some fishing equipment and a cooler?
Yes.
All right, and who did he suspect had taken those things?
He didn't really say. He just told me there had been some contractors work.
Object to hearsay from Mr. English, what he told this witness.
Sustained.
Now, did you repeat what Mr. English had told you to anyone else?
Not that I recall, no.
All right, I'm going to direct your attention, Mr. Albenze, specifically to February 23rd, 2020, approximately 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Tell the jury what you were doing that day.
I was running a log splitter in my front yard, splitting wood.
And how were you dressed?
I had on boots and gloves and overalls.
All right. What did you see?
I just stood up to move some wood, and I noticed Mr. Arbery standing in the front yard of that house.
Now, at that point in time, did you know his name?
No.
Okay. So he was a stranger to you?
Yes.
All right, so you saw him standing in front of the house.
Yes.
How was he dressed?
Maybe a t-shirt and shorts.
Did he have any bags with him?
No, not that I recall, no.
Backpack on him?
No.
What did you see the young man do?
He was just standing there looking around. It's a good distance away.
So what did you decide to do? What happened next?
What came to mind was Mr. English's video. Something that looked like that on his dock at night. So I shut the splitter off, grabbed my phone, walked down to the corner.
And did you go in the house and get something else too?
Yeah, I had a pistol in my pocket.
Okay. So you got your phone, you got your gun, and you walked down to the end of the drive, or the end of the street.
Right.
All right. So on State's Exhibit 285, where did you stand?
Behind that oak tree next to the stop sign.
The right in here?
Behind the oak tree.
Like right here?
Yeah. Well, behind it, but the tree was between myself and the house.
Ah, so more like right here.
Yeah.
Got it. And what did you do then?
And I saw someone moving around inside the house, so I pushed the send button, called Glenn County Police.
All right, so when you hit the send button, what number did you dial?
The 7800 number
What's the 7800 number?
is the Glenn County Police Department.
So you didn't dial 911?
No,
All right. Why didn't you dial 911?
I did not see an emergency.
So you dialed the non-emergency Glenn County number, and were you connected to an operator?
I was.
Have you had the opportunity to listen to that 911 call?
I've heard it a time or two, yeah.
Okay. And you and I have met before, right?
Right,
And
yes.
I played for you?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And at that time, was it a fair and accurate depiction of what you said to 911?
Evidently, it's a recording, so, yeah.
All right. So, Your Honor, at this time, the state will tender into evidence. Let me make sure I get the right number. 143. State's Exhibit 143.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection.
Okay. State will publish.
Plymouth Communications Operator Smith.
Hey, this is Albenze. I'm about to steal George. There's a great place out there. There's a guy in the house right now. It's a house under construction.
Okay, do you have your address or that house's address?
Right at 219 or 220 Secilla Drive.
And you said someone's breaking into it right now?
No, it's all open. It's under construction. And he's running right now. There he goes right now.
Okay, what is he doing?
He's running down the street. Oh,
Okay.
back there, didn't he?
Okay, that's fine. I'll get them out there. I just need to know what he was doing wrong. Was he just on the premises and not supposed to be?
And he's been caught on camera a bunch before at night. Kind of an ongoing thing out here. The man's building a house. He's got parties. He's up there. He's not going to finish it.
Okay, that's fine. And you said it was a male in a black t-shirt?
A white t-shirt. Black guy, white t-shirt. And he's done back there. He's done running back there. You never knew.
Okay, and
My front yard.
what was your name, sir?
Max.
Okay, and your phone number?
258-46
258. What was the last four?
465. I'm at 309 Jones Road.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put it in and have somebody come out there and check it out, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Were you able to see Mr. Arbery inside the house when you were standing behind kind of the oak tree area?
Yeah.
Could you tell what he was doing inside the house?
No.
Now, you can't read minds, right?
Nope.
All right. So you have no idea what he was doing inside the house.
No, ma'am.
And do you have any idea why he ran from the house?
No, I don't.
Now, after you hung up with 911, what happened next?
Walked back to my house.
Do you recall at all walking down the street a little further in front of, I guess, Subi Lawrence on one side and Diego Perez on the other side, down that street a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember making any sort of motion?
I saw in the video, there he goes.
And who are you doing that to?
I was just thinking to myself, run on down the street.
Were you intending to communicate to anyone in particular at that time?
No.
And after you stood in the street and made the arm motion, what did you do then?
Went home.
At any point in time, did you call Greg or Travis McMichael?
No.
Did you communicate with them in any way, shape, or form?
No.
After you went home, what happened next?
After a few minutes, I heard gunshots.
How many gunshots did you hear?
3.
What did you do once you'd heard those 3 gunshots?
I got my bicycle out of the shop and rode down around the corner.
You say down the corner, where'd you go?
Down to Satilla Drive, left.
So you came down Jones and then went down Satilla.
Right.
Is that the same way that Mr. Arbery had run?
Yes.
What'd you find?
I saw a police car, saw Mr. Arbery laying on the street. I saw Miss Greg and Travis there.
What'd you do?
I stopped and went home. As it's kind of a shocking scene,
And did you ride your bicycle back home?
I did.
Later that evening, were you contacted by officers from the Glenn County Police Department?
Yeah.
And did you speak with them at that time?
I suppose, yeah, I did.
Do you recall that at all?
Not really.
At that point in time, just to put it politely, had you had an adult beverage or cocktail at that point in time?
Several, yeah.
Now, have you personally ever been the victim of property theft within Satilla Shores?
My daughter's car was broken into, 20 years ago maybe. It's been a long time ago.
But nothing in 2019 or 2020?
No.
And do you subscribe to the Satilla Shores Facebook page?
Yeah.
Do you occasionally post there?
Yeah.
And do neighbors post about their concerns about crime in the neighborhood on that Facebook page?
Yeah, they did.
And is that normal for people to be concerned about property thefts and crime in a neighborhood?
Objection is asking this witness to speculate what other people feel.
Stand.
Were you concerned about property thefts in Satilla Shores?
Of course.
Why?
It's our home.
Now, did you have any personal knowledge about any burglaries that had taken place in Satilla Shores in 2019 or 2020?
Car break-ins, you mean?
So we'll talk about, did you know about some car break-ins?
Yeah.
And how did you find out about the car break-ins?
It's on the Facebook page.
Had anybody actually personally spoken to you about their car break-in, like one-on-one, and you interviewed them and you got information about it?
No.
And I failed, I think, to show you State's Exhibit 127. 127. So, Mr. Albenze, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 127, see if you're able to recognize this particular image.
I do.
All right, and is it fair and accurate?
Was then, yeah.
All right. At this time, the state would tender into evidence State's Exhibit 127.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Submitted.
So with regard to State's Exhibit 127, go ahead and orient the jury. Where are we?
You're facing south on Satilla Drive.
And so when you were standing behind the oak tree, was it about here?
Yes.
All right. And you said this was fair and accurate at the time, meaning back in spring of 2020.
Right. The porta potties are gone now.
But it was there back then.
Yeah.
If I may have one moment. Mr. Albenze, I'm going to pass you over to the defense. They may have some questions for you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Root.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Excuse me one minute. Mr. Albenze, we've met before.
Yes,
We met about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now,
I suppose.
out near your house.
Yes.
Okay, we talked about the testimony you're giving here today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You don't want to be here.
Rather be elsewhere, yes.
Almost anywhere else, probably. This has been very difficult for you, correct?
Yeah.
It's caused you personally some problems as a result of your role in calling 911.
Yes, it is.
You've had some concerns at work.
Yes.
You've had concerns about your neighborhood, Satilla Shores,
Yes.
and even personal attacks on you, phone calls, things like that,
Recently, yes.
recently. Even though all you did was call 911,
Not 911, but yeah.
the non-emergency number.
Right.
Okay. And that's put you in a difficult spot in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's put me in a spot. I wouldn't say it's really difficult, but it is something I'm not used to.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your your call to Glenn County Police Department for a second and orient the jury a little bit. When you were in your yard cutting the wood, you'd already gotten most of the tree done. You were continuing to split logs from a fallen tree in your yard.
Right.
Right? You're out in your front yard, and you can see down from your house down towards Larry English's house.
Right.
Now, you had talked to Larry English before, right?
Yes.
You said 6 to 12 times, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
You shared mailboxes with him.
Oh, it's
I don't mean the same mailboxes.
same area, yeah.
So there's a group of mailboxes at the end of the road. Right here, behind the stop sign.
Right.
Okay.
4 or 5 mailboxes.
And multiple neighbors have to go to that spot to get their mail every day.
Yes.
You have to walk down Jones to the corner of Jones and Satilla to get your mail.
Yes.
And of course, Mr. English has a mailbox there as well.
I don't think he has a mailbox yet.
Oh, okay, he didn't have one yet, but that's where you would see him and talk to him occasionally.
Yes.
Okay. And on those occasions when you would see him, y'all would discuss, how's the construction coming, how's things going, right?
Right.
You knew he had a heart problem,
Yeah.
so you knew his health was impaired.
Yeah.
You knew he was building the house as kind of a second home for him.
Yes.
You knew he lived some distance away.
Right.
And you knew he stored valuables on the property.
I suppose.
You knew he had a boat on the property.
Right.
You knew he had a camper on the property.
Yeah.
You knew he stayed in the camper when he would come to work on the house.
Right.
And the garage where he kept the boat, he had a regular car garage, but he also had an RV garage, the bigger garage,
Right.
to fit his boat or an RV or whatever he wanted to put in it.
Yes.
Okay. He had talked to you about this intruder in his house, right?
Yes.
And he even went so far as to show you the video of a black male behind his house on his dock.
Right.
And you understood that on the dock was a boat on a hoist.
I don't know if I'm not, I can't tell you what was on the, no, I don't know the arrangement of his dock, no.
Okay, so you weren't aware there was a boat back there.
Right. I couldn't tell you if the boat was on the dock or in the garage or where at the time.
Did you know if Mr. English had multiple boats?
Yeah, I think he had 2 or 3 boats
Okay. That he stored on the property.
from time to time.
Even though it was open and unsecured, this house, it was still his property as you understood it.
Right.
He wasn't inviting people to come onto the property when he's not there, right?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
This male he showed you in the video, did Mr. English tell you he was authorized to be on the dock?
No.
Okay. As far as you understood, he was not authorized to be on the dock.
That's right.
And you understood that even though the house had no doors on it, it was still Mr. English's property, right?
Yes.
And he could decide who's allowed to come and not come on the property.
Yes.
You were aware that, and you even tell the Glenn County Police, this guy, meaning the man you're seeing on the property on February 23rd, has been to the house multiple times.
And that's what it said on the call, but it might have been the heat of the moment. And, you know, I can't say who it was, that guy, or just somebody that looks like it's what I probably meant to say.
Okay, so you didn't know who that male was standing in the yard when you looked down Jones.
No.
But to you, he looked like the guy you had seen in the video.
Right.
And you knew that this guy who you saw in the video had actually been to the house not just that one time, but a bunch of times.
Right.
Again, you didn't know if it was the same guy, but it was enough to pique your interest to walk down Jones.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In fact, you tell the Glenn County non-emergency number he's been caught on the camera a bunch before at night. That's what you said in the call we just heard.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of an ongoing thing out here
It had been.
from that guy, or at least the guy you suspected.
I can't say it was that guy, just somebody that fit that description.
Okay. So you felt like this guy had been there before, you saw a video of it, and he's here again. Or at least you suspected he's here again.
I suppose.
Okay. And that's what you told the police.
Yeah.
Okay. You also told the police that the guy's building a house, the guy being Larry English, and he's
Right.
got heart issues.
Right.
again, information you got from Mr. English.
Right.
And you knew of Mr. English's frustration at this guy, or the guy you saw in the video, not being caught.
I don't really know, but we'd call it frustration. I can't speak to the man's state of mind. No.
Did he ever explain to you how frustrated he was?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I mean, nobody's happy when somebody snoops around in their stuff, so.
Right, I mean,
But
he
no,
was not happy this man was on his dock.
I suppose not.
Express that to you?
I don't recall.
You say to the Glenn County police operator, we've had some break-ins out here, right?
Right,
One of the first things you said, this is Matt Albenze, we've had some break-ins out here.
right.
Okay. Now, what you're talking about is what Ms. Dunikoski asked you. You were aware from the Facebook page that there was property crime in the neighborhood.
Yes,
And people were posting about it on the Facebook page and next door page if you're aware of that.
right.
Okay. Do you subscribe to both?
I think I logged into that, but I can't get back into it. It's just kind of wonky. No.
Okay. But people had shared their own personal experience with property crimes in Satilla Shores.
Right,
And it seemed to be an ongoing problem in 2019, now 2020.
it was, yeah.
Around the same time that this man that you saw on the video was coming into Larry English's house.
Right,
And in fact, you were, not only were you aware of it, but many people in the neighborhood were aware of this intruder in Larry English's house.
Same objection Mr. Rubin's made. What other people are aware of would be speculation on this person's, Mr. Albenze's part.
Sustained.
Did you ever tell the GBI when you were interviewed that everyone in the neighborhood is aware of it?
Not a prior consistent statement or prior inconsistent statement. And once again, him saying it to someone else does not get it out of speculation on his part.
The question is simply whether he was,
Told the GBI. When
whether
was
he
interviewed.
told the GBI that. Okay, that's okay, go ahead.
Do you remember being interviewed by the GBI?
I do.
Do you remember telling the GBI that you're aware of the guy back at the house and everyone in the neighborhood was aware of it?
I can't say everybody, but it was, people that were posting things, neighbors talk to neighbors, so I suppose most neighbors were aware that there were break-ins occurring.
And not just break-ins, but break-ins at Larry English's house.
I don't know who knew about that, but
You may not know who in particular were aware of it, but you told the GBI that everyone in the neighborhood was aware of. And I understand that's a figure of speech,
right,
but you told the GBI that,
okay, yeah.
correct?
Yep,
Okay. You were also aware that not only was this black male on the dock and at Larry English's house on multiple occasions, but that things were missing from Mr. English's house.
right,
In fact, you were aware that electronics were stolen and a cooler was stolen.
Objection to what Larry English told him. I know the form of the question is you're aware of this, but the only way Mr. Albenze would be aware of this is if it was hearsay coming from Mr. English. And I believe Mr. Rubin previously objected to my asking this witness what Mr. Larry English told him. So anything he's aware of from Mr. English would come from Mr. English, it would be hearsay.
And I'm not asking, I'm not offering it for the truth of the matter, whether the items were actually stolen, but to go to this witness's knowledge and to explain why he did what he did on February 23rd.
I understand it's not being admitted for the truth of the statement itself, just to explain the witness. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Mr. Albenze, you had knowledge, you were aware that items were stolen from Mr. English's house.
yes,
Items were in his boat stored at the house.
right,
And those items were electronics, right?
yep,
And a Yeti cooler.
yep,
And so you were aware of, well, let me back up. To your knowledge, those items had never been recovered.
I do not know.
Okay. were you present at Mr. English's house on February 11th, 2020, when police arrived at the house?
I think I walked down, saw the blue lights, you know, they flash all over the place. So I went down there to see what's going on.
And this is at night.
Right?
It's dark out.
Yeah.
Same, it was dark from the video you saw. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the previous video from Mr. English's house. It was dark that time too.
I can't remember if there was lighting. I don't know if there was a lamp back there. What I don't recall.
But it was at night.
It was at night.
Okay, so now February 11th, 2020, you see blue lights in front of Mr. English's house at 220 Satilla Drive, correct?
Right.
You were curious.
I was.
You knew about Mr. English's previous problems
Yeah.
with theft at his house, right? So you went down to see what was going on.
Right.
Did you see Travis McMichael down there?
Can't remember if he was there or not. I think he was there.
Okay. Did you see Greg McMichael there?
I don't remember.
Okay. But you do remember Travis?
Pretty sure.
Do you remember talking to any officers there?
I do remember talking to one officer.
After you went down there on the 11th, did you have any more conversations with Larry English about his house?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you ever talk to Sue B. Lawrence about the thefts in the neighborhood?
Possibly.
You're friends with Miss Lawrence, or at least neighborhood acquaintances?
Yeah, neighborly friends.
Diego Perez,
Yeah.
Ronnie Olson,
Yeah.
and Ronnie lives at the corner.
Right. That's
was-
Ronnie's garbage cans there.
Right, so the property, the oak tree where you stood behind to make your call, this is right in Ronnie Olson's front yard.
That's right.
And if Mr. English is 220 Satilla Drive, Ronnie Olson is 219 Satilla, across from Mr. English.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Do you ever talk to Brooke Perez
Occasionally.
about theft in the neighborhood?
I don't know what all we talked about.
Okay. The man you saw in the videos that Larry English showed you, and the man you saw on February 23rd, 2020, you had not seen either of those men before in the neighborhood.
No.
Okay. You never saw either man, if they're different, to your knowledge, jogging in the
No.
neighborhood. Now, how long you've lived there? 32 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Not aware of that man or a man fitting that description jogging in the neighborhood?
No.
Okay. The man that you saw when you first saw him on February 23rd was not jogging.
No.
In fact, he was just standing in the yard.
That's right.
Did you see him look around?
It seemed like he was just looking around.
Okay. Wasn't bent over, out of breath?
No.
Wasn't tying his shoes, lacing them up?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. You didn't know if that man was armed or not?
No.
Okay. Before you went down to make your phone call at the corner of Satilla and Jones, you grabbed two things.
Yep.
Cell phone
Yep.
and your 9mm.
That's right.
Put the 9mm in your pocket.
I did.
That's for your protection,
Yep.
because you just didn't know what was going on there.
Nope.
Okay. You called 911. You called the non-emergency number. And as you're calling, you're looking at the house.
Right.
And you see a person in the house.
I saw the person, then I called.
Okay, saw a person through the window of the house.
Right.
the window, I'm trying not to get in anybody's way. The front of the house is over here. Here's the garages, right?
Right,
The window's over here.
right,
You saw the man that you suspected as being an intruder walking through the house through those windows.
right.
At some point, you stepped out from behind the oak tree,
Right.
and that man came out and then took off.
Yeah,
You suspected he saw you, and that's why he took off.
I don't know.
I know you don't know, but you suspected it.
I don't know why he took off running. I don't know if he saw me or not.
You told Diego Perez you suspected he saw you,
Okay, then,
right?
yeah,
Okay. And you told the GBI that you suspected he saw you. At least was possible in your mind, and you felt some guilt over that
I did.
because you felt like you put into motion these events that turned tragic.
I thought maybe if he hadn't seen me, he wouldn't have run away. I don't know.
Right. And that, of course, it still weighs heavy on your heart.
Yes.
Okay. After while you were making your call, and you watched him run off into the neighborhood, right? You continued to walk down Satilla, past Mr. Wade's house, who's right there,
Right,
to at least in front of Diego Perez's house, right?
Right.
So that's 2 houses down from Larry English's house.
right,
And that's where you made your motion,
right.
right? At that point, you're only 2 houses from the McMichaels house, correct?
2 or 3, I suppose, yeah.
Okay. Prior to Ahmaud Arbery, the man we now know to be Ahmaud Arbery, running out of the house, did you ever see him through the window duck down?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. Excuse me 1 minute, Mr. Albenze. Thank you, Judge. That's all I have, Mr. Albenze.
Hold on just a second, sir. Anything from the other defendants?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Albenze.
Morning.
I'm Jessica Burton. I am co-counsel for Roddy Bryan. First, I understand you might know my co-counsel, Kevin Goff.
I helped my brother clean some trees up at his yard after one of the hurricanes several years ago.
Okay, so then you have not spoken with Mr. Goff then about your testimony today?
No,
Okay. Did you speak with Roddy Bryan on February 23rd, 2020 prior to the incident?
no,
Okay. And at that point, you hadn't spoken with him for several years at that point, is that correct?
I suppose that's correct.
Okay. And on February 23rd, 2020, prior to the incident, you also did not see him,
No.
correct? Okay. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Any redirect from the state?
Yes, Judge. So when we're talking about what you're aware of with regard to Larry English, you were aware that he suspected his contractors of stealing the items off the boat.
I wouldn't say he suspected them, but maybe that was a possibility.
And how'd you learn about that possibility?
I mean, we spoke about it.
And you're aware that he had no idea if the items were stolen off the boat while the boat was at that construction site or somewhere else?
I have no idea.
Okay. And you don't know what's in the mind of the other neighbors within the Satilla Shores neighborhood, do you?
No.
You have no idea who knows what about Larry English's property, do you?
No.
And the video he showed you was the one on the dock, and I think you said between October and November?
Yeah.
Okay. I think defense counsel asked you if you were friends with Subi Lawrence.
Right.
Okay. But I think it was unclear. Did you talk to Subi Lawrence at all about Larry English's house?
I don't recall. We don't speak very often.
Okay. And Diego Perez, you know him.
Right.
Did you talk with him about Larry English's house?
I may have, but I couldn't tell you what the conversation was or when it was or what it was about. But I mean, we talk about these things, you know, neighbors share concerns about what's going on.
Okay. But you don't have any specific recollections of these things?
No.
Okay. And Ronnie Olson is one of your good friends, right?
His buddy, yeah.
Okay. And at one point in time, did you and Mr. Olson believe that the crime that was happening at Satilla Shores was due to a homeless guy under a bridge?
I don't know. I heard people talk about homeless people under the bridge. I never saw them. Don't know.
Okay. But this was something else that people in the neighborhood were talking about, right?
Right.
Okay. And that homeless guy under the bridge, he was a suspect in the 2019 entering autos, right?
I don't know.
Well, did you suspect him?
No. I mean, I don't even know if there was a homeless guy under the bridge, so no,
So this is all just rumor and innuendo going around.
I suppose. Yeah.
Now, you just testified, you don't know if Mr. Arbery saw you or not from inside the house where you were standing under the tree, right?
No, I don't.
Okay. And you told Diego Perez that you didn't know whether he saw you or not. Is that what you told Diego Perez?
I don't remember what I told Diego.
Okay. And the direction Mr. Arbery ran when he left the house, he went towards the McMichael house, right?
Yes.
Okay. If he'd gone the other way, where would he have gone?
Out towards Highway 17.
Out towards Highway 17,
Right.
out of Satilla Shores.
Right.
I'll pass the witness if there's any recross.
Any recalls?
Hello, Mr. Albenze.
Hello.
Just a quick question.
Objection.
It's two separate defendants.
Pardon me?
Right, there were no questions and.
I can do it.
Okay, I'll let Mr. Rubin do it then.
I'm confused.
Frank's
It's okay. I'm confused, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, it does. What we had was a cross by Mr. Rubin, no cross, and then we'll discuss it at break and just make sure everybody's on the same page with how we're operating. Go ahead.
Mr. Albenze, the direction you saw the man we now know as Ahmaud Arbery run was to your left, right?
Yes.
Away from the entrance to Satilla Shores Highway 17.
Yes.
You're on the phone calling the police to come to the neighborhood and check this out. The police would be coming from the direction of Highway 17,
Yes.
coming into the neighborhood.
Right.
Going down the street, again, in the direction that Mr. Arbery ran.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Anything for Mr. Brown?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down. I know with the police witnesses, they were subject to recall. Is he subject to recall?
Yes, he is subject to
All
recall.
right. You are released for the day. You are subject to recall.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.